All right, we're back with a brand new Screen Team. I'm excited about this one because we have one of our all-time favorite reviewers in the studio, Miss Toby Spencer. Toby, it is so good to see you.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing so good. You know what? I'm excited to review some movies with you this evening, and we are doing kind of a themed show tonight, and it's all with this one actor. What's the name of the actor that we're doing?
His name is Alexander Skarsgård.
And he is pretty much famous from the True Blood series.
That's where I discovered him.
Mm-hmm.
And he played Eric Northman, the vampire.
Yeah.
But he's huge in Sweden. His whole family is they're an
His
action
dad,
family.
too.
Yes. And so that's kind of where I discovered him. And he's done quite a bit in the States now.
Yeah. This first film that we're going to be doing is a movie that he's in, but he doesn't have, he's kind of like a side role in this one. It's called Melancholia. And I got to be honest with you, Toby, this movie is out there.
Oh, it's way out there. It's one of those movies, I really think, had I read the book series,
Mm-hmm.
I may have understood more of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am not into the artsy movies
And
myself.
this is it.
And this is way artsy. From the very beginning with the Wagner opening with the opera music and some of the symbolism going on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say the first 10 minutes, I'm thinking, what is this? And then
Yeah.
the credits rolled, the opening credits. Didn't understand exactly what all that was being symbolizing.
It reminded me a lot of 2001 Space Odyssey. Did you ever see that
I did,
with
yes.
Kubrick? You know, just a lot of symbolism, a lot of, not a lot of talking at first, just a lot of, symbolism, like you said. It also reminded me of The Tree of Life with Sean Penn and Brad Pitt. It came out a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar with that. But I guess the main part of the story is you've got two sisters.
Right.
You've got
Justine and Claire.
Justine and Claire, played by
Kirsten Dunst.
Yes, thank you. And Charlotte Gainsborough is her name.
That's the first time I'd seen her in any movie, so that was new.
And the first, we've got two stories here.
Uh-huh.
The first part of the story has to do with a wedding.
Right. Justine and Michael, I think was his name, and that was the Alexander Skarsgård character.
Right.
And they, at least from the appearance, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, you're seeing everybody's seeing on the outside the happy bride and groom, but things are kind of going downhill from the very beginning. They're hours late getting to the reception because the limo can't work its way up to the reception hall, and all three of them are having to drive it, trying to go through these winding roads.
Right.
But as the story goes on, and it drug on, you're finally seeing things crack. That things aren't quite as they seem. It's not the happy, joyous occasion that you would think it is on the outside. Just expressions from Kirsten Dunst once in a while, and she was being accused of, just smiling, but on the outside, and being horrible on the inside, and you see that as it goes along.
I got to tell you what, I mean, this was like one of the worst weddings in the history of
was.
weddings.
It was.
It was so bad.
The bride she wouldn't consummate with the husband, but goes out with the new employee that are from her company out on the tennis court. I mean,
it was
horrible.
Like, and you're looking at all these people, and you're thinking, not one of them, except for maybe the Alexander
Skarsgård, and he's kind of the blubbering idiot.
Yeah, but all these people, you're like, they're all terrible people.
They are. The mother stands up and goes off on, they're trying to do the wedding toast, and the father stands up, which was John Hurt, and he was kind of funny. He was a comic relief.
Yeah, he had like two girlfriends named
Betty and Biddy or something like that. These two young women.
Yeah,
and he's saying something about matrimony, and she stands up and basically calls him a liar, and how much she doesn't believe in marriage, and
very bitter.
A very, very, very bitter woman.
And then you have Kirsten
Dunst?
Yeah. You've got her sister and her husband, played by Kiefer Sutherland. They basically paid for the entire wedding itself.
They did pay for it, and they remind the bride how much they paid for this.
Yeah. So every single person, you're like, man, every single person at this wedding has issues, and you're just like, oh, I want nothing to do with any of these people,
Exactly.
It was very hard to like any of the characters or root for them in any manner.
And I didn't. Usually you could find one character you can latch onto. Not in this movie. And if when I read a little bit about it, wasn't it called either the Depression series, the series of books, Depression or Anxiety or something?
Yeah, I think the guy who directed this, Lars von Trier, I guess is his name. He's directed a couple of other films, I guess, that deal with depression and sadness and stuff like that. And this, at least the first part of this film.
It was a depressing movie, very much so.
So you've got the first part, which deals with the one sister and the wedding. And then the second part, if you thought the first part was weird, the second part is even miles beyond that. It still deals with the same sisters. Mm-hmm. But it deals with either like a meteor or a star called Melancholia.
Yes.
That is coming to Earth that could do harm and damage to the planet Earth.
And they, in the segment with Justine, they mentioned that a time or two. All of a sudden, everyone would stop, look up at the sky, and say, "What is that?" And then they'd move on to something. Right.
And the second part of the story deals with those hints. And Kiefer Sutherland, he's I guess an astronomist, and he knows a little bit about it, and he's telling his wife, hey, everything's going to be okay, but she's kind of dealing with what Kristen Dunst. I keep going with Kristen Stewart, man. I don't know why.
She could have played the part very
She probably
easily.
could have.
She could have.
She is the depressed one in this second part of the film, and she can't deal with the possible doom of Earth and her family and stuff like that. And unless you are into artsy film, I would stay away from this.
Steer clear.
I really would.
Steer clear. We were talking about, we did the theme, and I normally like Alexander Skarsgård, and he, like you said, he's not a huge part, doesn't have a huge part in this movie. But if you deal with depression in any way, steer clear, because it's going to pull you right back on down.
Oh, yeah.
It's a hard movie to watch. It's a hard movie to stay interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to focus in even to get some of the symbolism. And still, I didn't get a whole lot of it.
Right.
I still don't know what the birds falling out of the sky and behind the bride in the very beginning meant. I just don't know. That's why I'm wondering if I read the books, things would make more sense.
Yeah.
But books and movies are supposed to stand alone.
But do you want to put the time into reading those books?
No. I watch movies to be entertained, and this was not entertaining.
So do you think the next film is going to entertain you, Battleship?
I know it will. We've got Taylor Kitsch in there, too. So, yeah.
Giddy up.
Giddy up.
We're going to review Battleship. That's coming your way next right here on KWOC.